So it's finally happened. Tim Norman has been found guilty for murder for hire of his cousin, Andre Montgomery. This is the Sweetie Pies family. Everybody knows Tim from Welcome to Sweetie Pies on OWN. His mom is Robbie Montgomery. Sweetie Pie, we call her Sweetie Pie, but her name is Robbie. She was an Ikeette. She was one of the backup dancers for Ike and Tina Turner. But her son, Tim, but we call him Hips too because he has those hips. He built. They would say, I'm going to say he was built. But he conspired and paid people to have his nephew killed. All due to greed. So he was found guilty. So let's see what the article says. Let's see what the St. Louis Post Dispatch say. Who is that? Is that him texting me? Oh no, he can't text me. He's in prison, being tossed around to and fro with them hips. He's gonna be the new heifer walking around, waving them hips. They might well throw some lipstick on him because he's gonna be the sweetness around now for the rest of his life. The St. Louis Post Dispatch says Tim Norman guilty of conspiring to kill his nephew, former reality TV star Tim Norman. Dang, he's 43 years old. They say he's 43. He was convicted on all charges after the jury deliberated for about 17 hours, which I don't understand why it took 17 hours to convict this idiot. The evidence was there. He faced 2 federal murder for hire counts and 1 count of conspiracy to commit wire and mail fraud. Why'd they say that? This is why. Norman orchestrated the 2016 murder of his 21-year-old nephew, Andre Montgomery, then attempted to cash out up to $450,000 in a fraudulent life insurance policy he took out on his nephew 18 months before his death. So he planned this over a year in advance, basically. Why are you getting a life insurance policy on your nephew? Anyway, both of them starred in Welcome to Sweet Pies on OWN, the longest running reality show from OWN, formerly owned by Oprah Winfrey. Still has a little bit of ownership in it, but I think it's majority owned by Discover. But it's still her name. It's about a popular soul food restaurant in St. Louis. Norman's mother and Andre's grandmother is the one that founded it. All right, so let's continue. See what else they're talking about in here. Assistant U.S. Attorney Angie Dennis made the case in closing arguments for the prosecution that Norman initiated the murder plot in hopes of a payout. She said not only did he know, he was indeed the architect of the plan. She continued, this plan doesn't exist but for Tim's greed. It's crazy that he was greedy. They were making some money in the restaurant, I thought. But then he started opening up all these different locations. You know, he opened up a location in NoHo, North Hollywood is what they call it, NoHo. NoHo. That's interesting. NoHo. North Hollywood. And then he opened up a location in Houston, did he not? So he kind of stretched himself thin, perhaps. Maybe that's why the money started siphoning out. But I thought that the main locations in St. Louis were doing pretty decent. Maybe I was wrong about that. Maybe once the show went off the air, the money slowed. I heard someone that's from St. Louis tell me that the food was way better before they got on the TV show. And you hear that from me. All right, let's continue. Norman, his defense attorney, tried his best to make sense and come up with a defense for this idiocy. He said that what the prosecutors what they're talking about is a made-up theory, even though, which is crazy, there's evidence, there's text messages, phone calls, witness testimony. He's still saying it's a made-up theory. Let's see what else. Prosecutors argued the day of the shooting, Norman paid $10,000 to a stripper, Terica Ellis, to track Andre's location, the nephew. They also accused Norman of then using a friend to pay $5,000 to the shooter, Travell Anthony Hill, after he killed Montgomery. This fool killed somebody for $5,000. You kill somebody and risk your life, being in prison for the rest of your life. He a little sweetness too. He gonna get tossed here and fro as well. For $5,000 freaking dollars. That ain't no money. Look to your neighbor and say, that ain't no money. Look to your other neighbor and say, that ain't no money. Even if it was $1 million, you still don't be killing nobody. Amen. As we continue looking at what they say here in this paper, they say both Ellis and Hill testified for the prosecution. So they testified against Tim. I'm sure they got a lesser sentence, even though the gal, should she get a lesser sentence? No, she shouldn't get. Neither one of them should get a lesser sentence. They all were a part of it. You gave the location, and the dude pulled the trigger. So even if they helping them get, I don't think they even needed that to nail Tim to the cross. He told the jury he asked Hill and Ellis to find and confront his nephew about a recent burglary at his mother's house, but he said he never paid them or asked them to hurt his nephew. And he expects us to believe this. He expects us to believe it. Norman testified that 18 months before the killing, he brought Montgomery to St. Louis, paid his rent, enrolled him in music school. He then cut him off financially after Montgomery stopped going to work and school. Let me see what else we got that makes sense. There's something else we need to know about this stupid case, this crazy case. Let's see. Let me see. One of the defense attorneys said, in making life's most important decisions, would you make that based upon a stripper who said she looked in your face and lied to you? They tried to take her credibility away because she shake her ass in the club in the juke joints. Being a stripper don't make you less of a person or make you less credible of a witness. You know what you know. That's quite interesting that they went that direction with that. Interesting. Wonder how many lap dances he's paid for. The attorney I'm talking about. Curious about it. He also emphasized the shooter, Hill, who prosecutors called Norman's hired gun, said, nobody else should be responsible for my actions but me. I looked up to him as a mentor. So he admitted, already knowing he's going to get less sentence, so he had no problem with saying that. He testified that he bought a gun and killed Montgomery after he was told by a mutual acquaintance that Norman would pay to have his nephew killed. So wait a minute. Mutual acquaintance told him. Hill said he was paid $5,000 after the killing by another man, Darrell Howard, who testified he made the payment at Norman's direction. Oh my, mafia situation going on here. Leonard emphasized that Hill testified that he was a heavy drug user at the time and hopped up on drugs that day. In her rebuttal, prosecutor Dennis told jurors not to trust Norman's testimony. Mm-hmm. Well, the moral to the story is don't kill, don't have nobody kill. You're going to jail. You're going to jail today. And Tim is indeed going to jail today. And he's going to be possibly sodomized. Like, or I'm not going to get into it. Anyway, that's the story. I'm Lamb. This is Lamb Levity. I'm curious to what you think. Put your comments down, your theories and comments in the comments down below. Let me know if you think Tim should be in jail for the rest of his life. Let me know if you think he did it or if he's innocent. Let me know what you think the fate should have been, could have been, should have been from the others that were involved, the stripper gal and the drug head, self-proclaimed drug head. All right, I'm Lamb Levity. Peace out.